Hi there, my name's Cindy Davis. I'm the content director for AV Technology, and I am really excited to be bringing an interview to you from the team who worked on the Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing facility in Zionsville, Indiana. Here with me are Todd Malloy, race engineer at Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing, who is assigned to Car 25. Justin Chong, Vice President of Global Sales and Marketing and General Manager of Jupiter Systems. Tim Yelvington, Director of Support and Services for Jupiter Systems. And a special introduction from someone who doesn't need an introduction, Bobby Rahal.
Well, hello, I'm Bobby Rahal, and I'm thrilled that the team is going to share the inside story about the cutting-edge technologies we built into our new Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing headquarters here in Zionsville, Indiana. One of the highlights is our operations center, which I like to call mission control. Jupiter Systems Technologies connect the RLL engineering team here in real time to assist those at the racetrack on the pit stand with data that's coming from the car and even be able to look at other people's race strategies. The folks at Jupiter work closely with the RLL team to understand our needs throughout the facility and make them a reality. If you're going to build an IndyCar facility, this is a must-have.
So Todd, tell me about the Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing facility that recently opened.
Yeah, I'll give a little bit of background on that. So Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing runs two high-level professional racing programs. One is an IndyCar program, and another is an IMSA sports car racing program. The IMSA sports car racing program is the factory BMW program for North America, and then the IndyCar program is full-time 3 cars with additional cars for the Indy 500. And up until we moved into this new shop, those two programs were run separately at separate locations. And so there'd been a desire for a long period of time to build a world-class facility, combine the two programs in one building, take advantage of all the economies of scale associated with that, and bring our working facilities up to, state-of-the-art current technology. So, as part of that, we had to think about, okay, what do we need and how do we work in the best way going forward for the next few decades, right? And we do have quite a remote work component as well, not just internally, but also we're dealing with our partners and suppliers on a daily basis, and of course they're remote. On the BMW side specifically, there's a huge contingent in Munich that we correspond with constantly. A lot of them actually are present in the shop in Indy, and so they're constantly working back and forth with Munich. So having really good connectivity, being able to have effective video calls and that sort of thing is priority one. We do a lot of whiteboarding, which now can be done digitally with these great Jupiter Panas. And then we also wanted to sort of future-proof ourselves a little bit. So there's a couple of key rooms within the building to do that. And so one of the things that happens in racing at different times, but it's definitely a trend going forward, is different race series will occasionally limit the number of people allowed at the racetrack, but it doesn't limit the number of people supporting remotely. And so it's very, very common in top level racing teams from Formula One to NASCAR to IndyCar to sports car racing, that at your facility, you'll have basically a dedicated ops room, race control room, whatever you want to call it. And so we did design and build that into the new shop in Indy, and we're really happy with the way that's worked out. We can place a lot of people in there. We can support actually remotely an IndyCar weekend and a sports car weekend at the same time from the same room. Thanks to Jupiter technology, we have that flexibility. So that's a key important room for us. Has a big video wall at the front, and then sort of tiered seating, throughout the room, so everybody can see the video wall at the front, and everybody's got their own laptops and displays and that sort of thing. And we can monitor, the people at the shop in that room can monitor in real time telemetry, video, audio. At the racetrack, the people by the pit wall are on an intercom system. And so the people in the shop can be on the very same intercom system, and it literally sounds like we're sat next to each other. You wouldn't know who was on the timing stand and who was in the shop. And so it really opens up a huge opportunity for us to do a better job at the racetrack by having more people working in real time and contributing. And that's just going to continue being a trend going forward in all categories of racing. So that's a huge addition to the way we work, thanks to the new building and Jupiter technology, of course. We also have a training room that is really a flex room and something we wanted to have a lot of flexibility in terms of how we use it going forward. We have partners that like to come and do training sessions at our facility because it is kind of a showcase facility. And a professional auto racing team isn't something that people see on an everyday basis. So there's a lot of value to bringing in partners for training sessions, to visit our facility. And so that room has to have the capability to be flexible in terms of the content that is presented and the use case that is utilized. It's also a great room for, overflow for, internal team meetings. If we're having a team meeting that requires the entire team, we need a big room, right? Or we can use the lobby as well, which has a video wall and a projector. So we have a lot of flexibility, and that was a huge reason that we partnered with Jupiter. Is the Catalyst hardware and the Canvas software gave us the capability to be flexible in terms of how we utilize these different rooms, these different displays, these different systems. That was absolutely key.
Before this facility, did you have a remote video?
No, we did not. No, it's brand new for us with this building.
So this has significantly changed.
Yes, absolutely. Yep, it's changed things for us in a lot of ways. I mean, now we look at people that we're hiring, and straight away we're trying to figure out, okay, is this person going to the racetrack? Can they operate effectively not going to the racetrack? How can they contribute, at the shop during the pre-event work and then during the race weekends? And so it's completely changed the mindset of how we use people. It is imperative to be able to support remotely in this day and age.
Amazing. Let's bring in the Jupiter team, because I'd love to know really how this came about,
Sure.
and what that working relationship is, and really the technology. I mean, you talked about the Catalyst technology driving the signal. So
I'll jump in because I was at the genesis of this 2.5, almost 3 years ago now. So when as you know, Jupiter Systems has been building state-of-the-art command and control rooms for everything from launch controls for space exploration to nuclear power plant control rooms to, we run countries as far as emergency management services go. So when we started the conversation with RLL, it was very analogous to what we already do, just kind of in a different vertical, if you will. So we kind of started this discussion, I want to say summer of 20 or so, when we were talking about how we could help enable them to do this. And it sort of evolved over time, right? So the first thing was when we were talking to Todd and the team at RLL, it was, they had the idea that they wanted to build a control room. And we're like, great, we build control rooms. That's what we do. And that's what we've done for the last 40 years. We invented the video wall processor. And then it kind of evolved over time. So it went from the control room using Catalyst and Canvas. So the Catalyst is our hardware platform and Canvas is our software that sits on top of it that allows for kind of a common operating environment. Enables you to have remote users both in the control room, outside the control room. Also enables you to distribute that video signal over really any IP network. So we could take that video signal then that was in the control room in the facility and distribute it throughout that building over their existing IP network without having to build kind of a separate parallel AV only network, with very low impact on kind of their overhead as far as that network running. So it saved them, building a redundant network and then putting in an AV over IP system to go with that. And then this kind of evolved. It was like, well, what about the Jupiter displays? Because right about that time, we had launched our panel line of LCDs, and it made sense with the 21:9 aspect ratio. It's a much more immersive experience. Our touch monitors have our Simple Share software that allows you, as Todd said, to easily whiteboard, to jump into your existing workflow and whatever your workflow is in your organization from that touch technology. And so we outfitted that the training room that he spoke about. all the conference rooms, the lobbies, and then extended the video signals via Canvas to the projector, to the LED video wall, to remote users in Munich, at the track, in Florida, wherever that they might be, both on race day and also off of race day.
Let's start with the ops room, and talk about that a little bit. How many people are in there? Do they each have their own PANA, as well as looking at the video wall? Talk about that room a little bit.
So yeah, there's seats for 15, but we could easily accommodate more. It's definitely well, there's seats for 15 at the tiered seating, and then there's also a few seats at the back for people to just observe. But there's seats for 15. People properly kitted out with at least one laptop, an intercom connection, an additional display above their laptop. Some of those are the 34Ts. We haven't outfitted the whole room with that as yet, and we aren't yet fully populating it with 15 people at all times, so we're trying to build up some of that stuff as we add people to it. But yeah, that's there. Everybody can see the video wall at the front, and then we'll have usually an IT person there that would control the display on the video at the front. As I mentioned before, it seems like so for example, one weekend the 24 car might have an onboard camera, one weekend the 25 might, one weekend they both might. So pretty much every time you have a race event, you do need to sort of adapt the layout at the front of the room, because it always changes a little bit. So that layout on the big video wall at the front is done through Canvas, and then each individual person, we can put video up there of just about anything we want. That's the beauty of it, right? Is we can take video from the track. We can have, if somebody that is seated in the room is running a particular piece of software, say it's a strategy software, that can also have an area at the front of the room on the video wall that's displayed. And so, yeah, as I say, the flexibility to display the different information weekend to weekend, series to series is huge, and it's a big plus. And then in terms of audio, the normal thing is that everybody would be wearing a headset, like I am right now, listening to the intercom, and the intercom has multiple channels, and it's just it's a piece of software, either on a laptop or on a tablet, that basically connects you to the intercom, like I said before, as if you're seated next to the person on the timing stand. So that's kind of a quick overview.
So Tim, tell us a little bit about your involvement with RLL.
Sure. So I worked with the team to help them deploy all this technology. So throughout the space, we have our PANA displays, which are connected back to our Canvas system. So they're able to display anything they want anywhere in their facility. Their facility is really cool, especially their command center. It's it's built like a fishbowl, so you've got glass on all three sides, so you can watch what's going on inside. And the space is just really cool, and it's accented by all of our technology and the cool videos that they have of the races and the different marketing stuff that they put out. So it's really been a great partnership in general. I was involved from the beginning of the actual deployment of all the hardware, so I've helped their team set these up, work through use cases. In fact, I'm working with the team today to work through some things for the race next week. So, we keep in contact, throughout the process. It's cool to go there and see, walk through the space and see all their teams in these different rooms, with a Teams call and a whiteboard session, and they're, collaborating with people who knows where. But every time I go there, people are in the rooms and using them. And they seem to really be getting a lot out of the technology, which is what makes me excited about it. And it's racing, so who wouldn't want to be involved?
Oh, absolutely. I know you've got several PANAs there. What's the whole scope of that?
Sure. So we have everything from our desktop PANA 34s all over the facility. When you first walk into the front of the building, you're greeted by a receptionist who has a beautiful PANA 34 on her desk, and each side is flanked by a PANA 105, usually showing some sort of marketing content. Depending on who's coming into the building, they tend to use it for, to welcome people in and to put their logos up and to, those sorts of things. When they had the partner event, they used all this technology to, showcase all this video that they have.
How about are there meeting rooms that are set up with panas?
Yep. So from a main conference perspective, the building's set up really cool. So they have what they call the spine down the middle. And so it separates the two teams, and they both kind of have their own side and collaborate. So there's one main conference room that they use for their big meetings and things like that. And then kind of as you go down that hallway, the conference rooms get smaller and smaller into a final sort of like a breakout room. And our technology adapts with that. So in the main conference room, we have more technology. We have a 105, and we have some other things like our encoders underneath the table, so people can just come in and share their content very easily, just through HDMI connections. And then as the rooms scale down, so does our technology. So we have 81s in the other rooms to help them collaborate in those spaces. And then most of the displays around the facility are 105s for showcase. And then in the command center, the desks are dotted with 34, so they can just come in, plug in their laptop, and have a 34-inch widescreen touch enabled control.
Our audiences are going to be really interested in hearing a little bit more about the infrastructure.
Our key market differentiators are we adopt industry standards. So we're not in the business of making things proprietary and forcing you into decisions and making you run unnecessary hardware for no reason. So most of our stuff runs on a standard IP network. We have other ways to accomplish things, and we have different systems like our PixelNet system that's more proprietary, that sees a lot of use in government spaces and things like that, where IP communication is not always preferred. But generally, our solutions are very adaptable and can fit into any organization because of the way we adopt industry standards.
So RLL obviously is a business in itself, and it's not always just communicating to the pit. It's got to run its business. So talk about some of the internal collaboration, how that is enabled.
What we've done when we deployed the panas inside the shop is we used our touch-enabled displays. And a touch monitor is great, but you need a piece of software to actually have people use it. Otherwise, it's just another monitor. So Jupiter developed a platform called SimpleShare, which is really just the front door to your existing workflow. It's a pretty simple, pretty easy to use, pretty intuitive touch-enabled interface that allows a user to walk up, touch a button, say, okay, start a video call, start a whiteboard. And with one click, maybe two, they're into whatever work that they're trying to do. If they want to jump into a salesforce.com portal, or if they want to jump into one of their existing software platforms, you can put the icon on the screen and just walk up, hit the touch the button and do that. Also, from the scheduling standpoint, the rooms are set up as resources so that you can schedule the room as part, through Outlook. And then we get a button that shows up in the middle of both the monitor and the tablet on the table. When the meeting's 5 minutes to start, it says, your meeting's about to start. Would you like to join? Press here. And with really kind of that one-click easy button, you can jump into the call and not have to fumble around for that 6 to 8 minutes that typically happens at the beginning of every video conference.
Our internal IT resources have grown from literally zero when this whole collaboration started to now having 3 full-time IT people, and they've been working directly with Tim really since last summer, once the integration process started. Back to racing for me now.
That's great. So how is it as from the user perspective?
So I work remotely quite a bit. I also work at the shop occasionally. I also work at the racetrack, but it is definitely really nice to have Tim referred to the breakout rooms. you know, we do have, like it says, a spine down the center. You've got the big meeting room, and then a medium conference room, and then a small conference room on either side. And it's super convenient to just be able to, you know, have a couple of people, 2-3 people, or, you know, a bigger group. You know, we've got a room sort of size for every size gathering, and they walk over there, you know, jump on a Teams call. It's so easy. It's a real nice step forward in terms of the way we work, for sure.
Oh, great. Well, this has been an amazing discussion. I can't wait to see it in person. So thank you, Todd, Justin, and Tim.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
No problem.
My pleasure. We're thrilled with the way it's all turned out. It's a pretty spectacular building showcase, and all the Jupiter monitors are a huge centerpiece of it all. So it's really great. Very pleased.
Yeah, and from the Jupiter side, we're honored to be part of this organization, right? The RLL has kind of opened up, and from a partner perspective, fantastic group of people to work with, both on the development side. There was a lot of kind of back and forth. How do we best do this? What do we do? How do we make it work best for you? And then from an ongoing sponsorship standpoint, they're fantastic organization, and we're very pleased to be a part of it.
How do people reach out to Jupiter?
So you can get us on the web at jupiter.com, pretty straightforward, or through your local system integrator. We are been working with most of the SIs, both domestically and internationally, for decades. So they probably know how to get a hold of us, but if not, it's jupiter.com.
Very good. Thank you so much.